My singular honor to formally declare a state of emergency on Nigeria's water supply, sanitation, and hygiene sector.
Federal government declares state of emergency in water and sanitation sector. African parliamentarians are in Abuja for their 41st conference.
We're investing in rail, we're investing in power, we're spending more money than ever before in the history of the country.
Partner with us to develop infrastructure, a charge from Vice President Oshibadu to investors at the African Investment Forum in South Africa. Thank you for joining us on NTA Network News. I am Muhammad Kudu Abubakar in Abuja. In Lagos is Michael Olaleye and Mariam Adura is in Jos. A state of emergency has been declared by the federal government on Nigeria's water supply, sanitation and hygiene sector. President Muhammadu Buhari made the declaration at the formal launch of the National Action Plan towards revitalizing the sector for improved standard of living in Nigeria. The president said, henceforth, federal government will support to the 36 states will be based on their commitment to implement the plan as well as end open defecation by the year 2025. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
This unveiling of the National Action Plan for the revitalization of water supply, sanitation and hygiene sector by President Muhammadu Buhari is without doubt a significant milestone towards improving access to clean water, decent toilets and good hygiene as part of the indices of good health. At the moment, the situation in the country is simply disturbing. Apart from failing to meet the MDG targets for water supply and sanitation that ended in 2015, Nigeria, amongst other shortcomings, is now ranked second in the global rating on open defecation. President Muhammadu Buhari said these preventable occurrences cannot be allowed to decimate the nation's population, and therefore water supply, sanitation and hygiene services must be provided in adequate quantity and quality in line with the Sustainable Development Goals.
It is my singular honor to formally declare a state of emergency on Nigeria's water supply, sanitation and hygiene sector. I call on all state governments to complement this effort by according the sector similar recognition to enable us to work together to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals targets for water supply, sanitation and hygiene by 2030.
Since coming to power, the president said the governing APC has demonstrated serious commitment to the development of the water sector by not only approving a 15-year roadmap, but also implementing faithfully the economic recovery and growth plan on the provision of infrastructure, including those of water supply, sanitation and hygiene services.
Our country is experiencing increasing rate of urbanization, but recent indices for water supply and sanitation access require that governments at all levels redouble efforts and work towards meeting the nation's water supply and sanitation needs. This cannot be achieved if we continue with a business as usual approach.
President Buhari commended development partners and countries that have been supporting the nation's water sector, but called for sustenance towards achieving national aspirations. In Abuja, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Water Resources Minister Suleiman Adamu says the official declaration of the state of emergency in the water, sanitation and hygiene sector by President Muhammadu Buhari will stimulate the needed political commitment towards issues at both the federal and the state levels. Musbah Adamu reports that participants at the event commended the Buhari administration for the declaration of emergency, which they say will ensure a massive turnaround.
A result of sequence of strategic steps over the past 3 years by the federal government is coming to bear. It's a feat that promises to rewrite the history of a situation in which more than 50 million Nigerians lack access to good water, while about 100 million of them do not have access to improved sanitation. Water Resources Minister decried impact of these situations on the socio-economic life of the country, but now gratified that the National Action Plan will set the country on the right path towards attaining various targets, including the Sustainable Development Goals regarding water and sanitation.
The National Wash Action Plan has the primary objective of ensuring that everyone living in Nigeria has access to sustainable and safely managed wash services by 2030 in compliance with the Sustainable Development Goals for water.
With the state of emergency that has been declared today by Mr. President, we have received the highest political backing for the development of the sector.
Though provision of potable water is the responsibility of state governments, key actors say state governments should cash in on the collaborative commitment and vigor demonstrated by the federal government.
We need our governors to give support to the water boards to deliver water.
For me, this is a wake-up call or a call to action for the country.
Big things ahead is coming. That's how we should appreciate the legacy the president is trying to lay down for the future generation.
We think it's a big departure from just the conference room talk to action on ground.
The action plan has 5 components of governance: sustainability, funding, financing, and monitoring and evaluation. In Abuja, Musbau and Wahab, NC News.
A full package of the formal launch of the National Action Plan on revitalizing the water sector comes up at 10:05 p.m. tonight, immediately after the NTA Network News. All NTA stations are advised to remain on the network service. President Muhammadu Buhari has emphasized the need for parliamentarians and nation-states in Africa to champion the cause of peace, security, democracy, and socio-economic development on the continent. The president stated this at the opening of the 41st Conference of the African Parliamentary Union in Abuja. State House correspondent Adam Musambo reports.
The conference, which coincided with the 73rd session of the Executive Committee of the African Parliamentary Union, is among others considering the role parliaments can play in finding lasting solutions to terrorism, armed gangs, and organized crimes as challenges of security in Africa. Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari said, has done a lot towards reversing the terror trend and in particular halting the advancement of Boko Haram through effective collaboration with neighboring countries, strengthening the armed forces, as well as initiating programs towards addressing widespread poverty as a significant factor boosting recruitments by terror groups.
In spite of this progress, we are not unmindful of the remaining challenges of armed invaders who ransack villages and small farming communities and commit terrible acts, including the cold-blooded murder of women and children. We are also making progress in addressing this challenge. It is my strong belief that the APU will develop strategies to assist governments in confronting this menace. I will be more than willing to fast-track your resolutions for deliberation and adoption at the ECOWAS sub-region and much larger African Union.
The president described as pleasing that the conference is also looking at the promotion of private investments on the continent as a key index of economic performance, saying, however, that the dynamics of global trade are changing fast.
As the global economic superpowers redesign and restructure the global economy, Africa cannot afford to be caught off guard. We have to navigate these uncertain economic times with realistic plans in which the private sector is key. Barriers that restrict ease of doing business and private sector growth must be addressed by legislation.
On the education of the girl child as a way of addressing early marriages, President Buhari noted with delight that 4 high school girls from Anambra State made the nation proud recently by winning the first position for innovation at an international competition held in the United States.
The success of these girls, some as young as 14, is a success for Africa as a whole. But more importantly, it is a demonstration of what can happen when the girl child is given the opportunity. Education should not be seen as a government program only, but as a human right and social imperative.
Both the APU chairperson and Speaker, Guinea-Bissau's Popular National Assembly, Kasama Cipriano, as well as Nigeria's Senate President, Bukola Saraki, promised to champion the objectives of bringing African parliamentarians together to support efforts at finding lasting solutions to the many problems confronting the continent.
Fighting corruption, good governance, fight against terrorism are all based on a great amount of support from the legislative arm of government. We parliamentarians must see the executive as partners in progress so that we can collaborate effectively to address these problems.
The APU conference had as its theme the role of parliaments in the fight against terrorism, armed gangs, and organized crimes in Africa, as well as promotion of private investments as a major factor in economic development. In Abuja, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
The Committee of Women Parliamentarians of the African Parliamentary Union has urged governments of African countries to adopt and implement a legislative and legal framework towards enrollment and protection of young girls in schools. Kenneth Nanin reports that the female lawmakers are of the view that such action will promote feminine values and discourage early marriages.
Consequences of early marriages have become issues of global concern. It is against this backdrop that the Committee of Women Parliamentarians from member countries of African Parliamentary Union are brainstorming in this forum to come up with a resolution that will help to promote girl-child education to discourage the trend in the African continent. Report published in August 2016 by the World Bank Group revealed that about 41,000 girls are being married out every day before the age of 18, bringing the figure to 15 million per year globally. Direct effects of these practices on the socio-economic development of the African member countries of the Union is being highlighted at this forum, having underscored the need for countries to take seriously the girl-child education to improve knowledge, skills, chances of employment to reduce poverty and early marriages. The female lawmakers are taking nothing to chance in achieving the objectives. The new leadership of the committee elected at the forum to lead for the next 2 years also pledged commitment to the campaign on women empowerment.
The governments should make sure that every girl goes to school, because we know a lot happens in the marriages. Some kids are dying when they get pregnant.
The Committee of Women Parliamentarians is also involved in the fight against trafficking in person and conflict resolution amongst member countries. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
The visit of the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall may have come at a time when a lot seems to be happening in the country. However, the body language of the August visitors clearly demonstrate a nod for the Buhari administration. In this report, Patricia Esami Luba highlights the essence of the interaction in Abuja between the Prince of Wales and a group of young entrepreneurs, as well as other groups involved in securing rural livelihoods in Nigeria.
In the past, the craze for white-collar jobs was the trend for young graduates in the country. Unfortunately, issues like unemployment and casualization of the workforce reduce opportunities in the public and private sectors, giving expression to entrepreneurship. The interface between the Prince of Wales and this group of entrepreneurs could best be described as private but rewarding. Hawawu Kabir Ahmed belongs to a non-governmental organization with its main thrust on rural business development. For her, this opportunity with the royalty opens up prospects.
These are things that people were taking for granted. Initially, women just have chickens and have them almost like household items. But right now, they understand the value of these chickens and they're very, very happy.
Further into the interaction between Prince of Wales. We have the National Veterinary Research Institute from Plateau State in VOM. And I will link us up with the head of the group.
He asked about diseases that are available and which one is of major concern of us now. We mentioned the foot-and-mouth disease virus that affect large animals in this case.
Nigeria is not an exception when it comes to unemployment, and the question of how to reduce it also forms part of Buhari's administration focus. For Hawawu Kabir Ahmed and other entrepreneurs, new vistas are on the horizon. In Abuja, Patricia A. Semiluba, NTA News.
Still on the Prince's visit to Nigeria, as a mark of appreciating the contributions of Nigeria's armed forces in the First and Second World Wars for paying the ultimate sacrifice, the Prince of Wales, Charles Arthur George, performed ceremonial laying of wreath at the National Military Cemetery in Abuja. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello reports that this was at the instance of the Minister of Defense, Mansur Ali, service chiefs, and members of the Nigerian Legion.
The occasion, which is the last engagement of the Prince Charles of Wales in Nigeria, will no doubt change the narratives in the course of history, as the selfless sacrifices of distinguished servicemen are being remembered and honored. The British Defense Advisor to Nigeria, Brigadier Charles Calder, speaks on the significance of the event and the Nigerian Armed Forces' contributions in the First and Second World Wars.
It is appropriate that as we work today in partnership with Nigeria to address her own national security challenges, that we remember Nigeria's contribution and sacrifice in both World Wars.
A veteran, Usman Kantiok, still standing and not a fallen hero, recounts with nostalgia the bravery, gallantry and pride displayed by the Nigerian soldiers during the war.
That he has participated in the World War, and towards the end of the war, he even crossed and participated in Biafra War.
It will be recalled that over 45,000 Nigerians fought against Hitler during World War II, and these Nigerians were among the 90,000 West African soldiers deployed as part of the British Army's 81st and 82nd West African Division that fought the war described as jungle warfare in Japan. From the military cemetery in Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says Nigeria is on the right track in its infrastructure development drive and will continue to encourage investors to partner the country. The Vice President stated this when he participated in the Presidential Investment Chart at the opening of the African Investment Forum in Johannesburg, South Africa. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports that the conference, which is mainly on business transactions, has so far recorded more than $62 billion worth of deals on the first day.
From the captivating opening of the conference that depicts the bustling youthful strength of Africa, ready to make positive impact to the world economy, to the setting of the stage towards achieving the dream of having Africa that is truly independent. This great turnout of leaders and investors alike is an indication that African countries are ready to stand, trust, and willing to work together in the vision for a new Africa. What is at stake is for African countries to unlock their great potential for a better continent.
The power sector alone will provide about $30 billion annual investment opportunity, tapping into Africa's vast resources of gas, solar, hydro, wind, and geothermal.
It is, in the end, the well-being of the citizens of our continent and their prosperity to which we must dedicate every effort.
This presidential investment chart having on the platform the President of Ghana, Guinea, the Vice President of Nigeria, and a South African business tycoon, is to find out how African countries are doing in rewriting their economies. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the country is on the right track.
Investing in infrastructure in Nigeria, we've doubled power generation. We're investing in rail, we're investing in power. We're spending more money than ever before in the history of the country in capital, 2.7 trillion in 2 budget cycles. So we're on the right track.
And what's the view of some leading African investors on the conference?
This potential, they've been there for a very, very long time. And unless we sit down and tap them and make sure that they become reality, it's just not going to happen.
Governments are now looking at how they can partner with, businesses, so that the challenges are much less. And I'm happy, to say, especially in Nigeria, ease of doing business in Nigeria has really, really improved.
The Vice President himself, as the head of the economic management team and also the head of the chairman of the National Economic Council, that's why he's here personally to make it very clear that the Buhari administration is very serious about the business reforms, they're very serious about the economic reforms, and they're very serious about encouraging private sector involvement in driving infrastructural development in Nigeria.
It is not just about doing business, but doing it in a way that it will benefit the people of the continent. From Orten in Johannesburg, South Africa, it's Jide Onifade, NT News.
Ahead on the news tonight, Aviation Minister provides clarification on the proposed new national carrier. Details shortly.
I can't believe my girl graduated today.
Congratulations, Adako.
Thanks, Dad. Do you know the neighbor's daughter already has a job lined up for her? Her parents are so happy.
Well, there's a few positions I'm looking at this moment.
And your CV?
You have to have a CV.
I've got that sorted.
Are you prepared for the interview?
Mommy!
When we get home, I will test you on the interview questions.
Great idea. Sounds like fun. Fuel for your hustle by Google.
The Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, Dr. Isa Ali Pantami, FBCS, on behalf of the management and staff of the agency, wishes to appreciate the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, Governor of Kaduna State, Chairman, Senate and House Committees on ICT, Ministers of Communication, Justice and Attorney General, FCT, Education, Youth and Sports Development, Chief of Air and Army Staff, Controller General of Immigration, Acting Chairman, EFCC, CEOs of NCC, NIMC, NOTAP, NOA, PEF, Galaxy Backbone, Security Minting and Printing Company, and other notable Nigerians who attended the 2018 edition of E-Nigeria. I also salute our guest speaker, Pioneer Chairman of EFCC, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, MNI, for a well-researched speech. Your presence added value to our quest to take ICT to the next level in Nigeria. NITDA, regulating IT for sustainable national development.
What's up?
His friends didn't come.
Hey, let's practice.
But you're going out.
Don't worry about me.
Nothing satisfies a mother more than seeing a child grow up. But I know as he sweats, he'll face the risk of germs which can cause skin irritation.
That's why you need the new best ever Dettol Cool. Its new advanced formulation with extra menthol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs and gives your family icy cool freshness.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
The Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency, will host a special edition of the Town Hall Meeting in Duzi, Jigawa State. The Town Hall Meeting will focus on the role of agriculture in the diversification of the economy. Invited guests, stakeholders in the agricultural sector, including rice farmers, farm input providers, policy makers, commissioners for agriculture in the 36 states and other citizens. Date, Monday, 12th November 2018. Venue, Amadou Bello Hall, New Secretariat Complex 2, Duzi, Jigawa State. Time, 10 a.m. Dickness Grace Isugepe, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Announcer.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NT.
I'm Sipasi Olaleko Ayodele. I'm based here in Ikorodu, Lagos State. I'm the founder of Protect Zone. We train children, youth, and farmers in sustainable agricultural practices to fight hunger and alleviate poverty even in the city. In 2016, joining Empower, I was able to reach more people. Empower gave me the feasibility and the exposure I needed to scale my organization from where it was to where it is now. Because of the opportunities Empower has actually given me and the facilities they provided us, whereby we are going to schools, partnering with the teachers, training the children on sustainable agricultural practices. We have a lot of youth, women, and children who benefited from our platform. Even what I'm doing on a small scale has actually brought me a lot of local and international recognition. Currently, I won the Nigerian American Partnership Award and the US Consular General Award based on what I'm doing right from my community here.
Thank you for remaining with NTA Network News. The House of Representatives says there is an urgent need for stakeholders to work in unison towards correcting flaws that give room for manipulation of the electoral process. A committee was therefore constituted to investigate alleged violation of Electoral Act and excesses across political parties in the conduct of recent political party primaries. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The lawmakers, while deliberating a matter of urgent public importance tabled by Representative Abubakar Chika, stressed that internal democracy must be embraced in practice in accordance with rule of law to deepen and strengthen democratic ideals.
Some adopted for direct primaries, some adopted for indirect primaries, and there are issues where consensus can take place. But consensus also is not an individual decision.
We adopted delegate system. Today, the delegate system has been so monetized that everybody is carrying, oh, we don't want delegate system again. We want direct primaries. And now again, we are now saying the direct primaries have been manipulated.
The House, in line with its resolution and based on a court judgment, is to invite the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to explain why it is yet to conduct elections in 2 state constituencies of Benue, as requested by Representative Benjamin Wayo.
According to INEC, the 8th Assembly is still subsisting, and it will be unconstitutional to conduct election within the lifespan of the 8th Assembly.
This is time for us to take a holistic approach to this lingering issue of delineation of constituencies in this country.
Thursday's plenary featured consideration and adoption of recommendations by House Committee on Emergency and Disaster Preparedness of its findings on allegations of violation of public trust as the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, on sourcing and distribution of relief materials to victims of flood and insurgency.
The relief material release was an afterthought and not intended to salvage the situation, as distributions happened 9 months after the flood disaster, after the House have mandated the committee to undergo the investigations.
And approved recommendation 1 as amended, approved recommendation 2 to 7 of the report.
Before adjournments of plenary, the House passed at second reading a bill that seeks to increase the retirement age of primary and secondary school teachers from 60 to 65 from the National Assembly. Lami Ali, NTA News.
Building a new Nigeria where truth, passion, and service for good governance is paramount has been identified as possible if the nation makes the fear of God a priority. National Assembly correspondent Omotola Omojola reports that this echoed at the 9th National Prayer Breakfast organized by the Christian Legislators Fellowship.
A call for spiritual renewal, the 9th in the series, the 2018 National Prayer Breakfast underscores the need for the country to return to God. Giving the words of exhortation, Apostle Emmanuel Nuhu Kure calls for a comprehensive review of the Constitution while stressing that citizens must prioritize national interest as against regional or tribal affiliations for a new Nigeria.
The colonial masters have finished their work. It's our turn to re-engineer ourselves. And if there is any cry of the spirit now, it's for a generation that will start that re-engineering process.
Speaker Yakubu Dogara encouraged all to keep the fire burning by praying always for the nation.
If we remain true to our prayers, through our prayers, we can change the narratives about Nigeria. We can change the destiny of this great country.
President Muhammadu Buhari, in his message delivered by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, expresses confidence in the unity of Nigeria and reiterated his administration's commitment to good governance in the country.
Let me reiterate the commitment of my administration to the promotion of peace, unity, and cohesion amongst all Nigerians. Also, I promise that my administration will strive at all times to ensure good governance, sustenance of law and order, growth and development.
The event also advised citizens and politicians alike to be responsible in their utterances and shun hate speech before, during, and after the 2019 elections. In Abuja, Omotola Omojola, NTA News.
A one-hour package of the 9th National Prayer Breakfast by the Christian Legislators Fellowship will air on the network service of the NTA on Friday, November the 9th. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, says the National Assembly will give necessary support for the completion of the permanent site of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. He stated this during a visit to the project site in Abuja. The Speaker expressed satisfaction with the quality of work.
If we want to deepen democracy, we have to deepen institutions like this. But not only in terms of attracting students from other countries to come and study in Nigeria so that we can pass our own democratic experience to them, but timely analysis of bill, getting legislative aids to actually know what they are supposed to do.
By the time we move here, I'm sure
Speaker Yakubu Dogara there. There are indications that the national air carrier, the Nigeria Air, will soon come on stream. Minister of State for Aviation Hadi Sirika, who stated this at the 5th Aviation Stakeholders Forum in Abuja, announced that once the procurement is completed, the project will take off. Emmanuel Ayimiro has details.
Providing clarification on the controversies surrounding the National Air Carrier project, Minister of State for Aviation Hadi Sirika says it is not true that the project had not attracted foreign investors, but the government wants local investors to also take advantage of the project.
The total $300 million that we'll be requiring between June 2018 to 2022, the $300 million, they will give it upfront. Let's talk. And in writing. So we do have investors. But is it the intent of government to allow people, not the Nigerian public, not the Nigerian entrepreneurs, to come and leverage on our level and take all the money and go away?
Stakeholders in the industry who have been worried that they do not have adequate information on the project expressed satisfaction and hope for the new national carrier.
I feel more convinced now. But if it hasn't gotten to the procurement stage.
There was insinuation that the whole thing is dead. The suspension will be ad infinitum. But today, I'm very happy to know that it's work in progress.
My take is that we should give him a benefit of doubt.
I have listened to the presentation. I'm going to get a copy of it. We're going to analyze everything.
But if we need a national carrier, let's probably could come and invest in that.
Other issues raised by the minister include the approval of airport security to begin to bear arms, which is to start in the next 3 months, and plans by government to launch the new international airport terminal in Abuja in the next 5 weeks. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
The role of the elderly in the society towards sustained sound cultural and societal norms has been described as a key to stronger nation. While the Vice President, Dolakbo Olushibaju, stated this at the first annual stakeholder conference on aging, tagged SGA African Vision of Mission in Abuja. Murjana to Adam Said reports.
The population of the aged is on the increase globally. In Africa, the aged are facing numerous societal challenges ranging from lack of proper care and other economic issues. This conference is to share national and sub-regional experiences and lessons on the various ways government, the society, and other stakeholders can engage to achieve inclusive implementation of the Sustainable Development Goal of leaving no one behind.
It is a shame and a deep disservice to young and old when the elderly are not cared for and given their rightful place in the community, in the nation, and in the world at large.
We can shift the concept of aging, shift the narrative about older persons. Now start a campaign on older persons' value and their contribution to society, and how indeed they are a force for economic growth in the African region.
Others appeal to the political class and other actors to address the issue and integrate older persons into the society like any other human being. Aging in our region, new consensus for innovative multi-level stakeholders engagement was the theme of the conference. In Abuja, Murjana to Adam Said, NTA News.
The United States of America says it is not interested in who wins the 2019 general elections in Nigeria, but will contribute in ensuring that the process is free and fair. United States Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Thibault Nagy, stated this at a joint media briefing with the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, in Abuja. Mia Ogidi reports.
For the United States of America, whatever affects Nigeria affects the entire African continent. And this informed their involvement in the electoral process as Nigeria counts down to the 2019 general elections. It's exactly 99 days to the election. And the United States of America, through the Secretary of State for African Affairs, Thibault Nagy, has offered to assist the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
Not only is Nigeria the largest African country with the largest economy, but the last elections in 2015 were an absolute positive example on how an election should be conducted, and we most especially urge all of the parties concerned to please urge all of their followers to be nonviolent, and also to urge all of the organs of state security especially to remain neutral in this process, because the neutrality of the state is absolutely essential.
The elections in 2019 will be free, fair, credible, and will focus on the processes, our own processes, and not parties or actors.
Recently, there has been some speculations questioning why America is interested in the electoral process.
Oftentimes, people say, well, you know, you Americans, you have a candidate, or you're always in favor of this party or that party. We have a candidate in every election in the world, and that candidate is the process. The process, I want to underline that. The Americans will always support the process. We don't care who wins. That's up to the people of Nigeria.
The embassy will also interact with other stakeholders in the electoral process to ensure that credibility is recorded come 2019. From the U.S. Embassy in Abuja, Mia Ogidi, NTA News.
And while the presidency has expressed concern over recurring reports alleging that President Muhammadu Buhari has reneged on earlier acceptance of the 30,000 naira recommended as the new national minimum wage by the Tripartite Committee. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says these reports are contrary to what transpired on Tuesday, the 6th of November, when the committee presented its report to President Buhari. The statement says the president acknowledged concerns raised by state governments on affordability and labor's focus on meaningful increase, but never mentioned any figure. The statement further explained that what the president committed himself to is a new minimum wage, and only after the report of the committee has been reviewed by the executive and the legislative process of government, and an appropriate bill presented to him for assent. President Buhari, who is a stickler for due process, will not be caught in this unnecessary web of controversy, which amounts to putting the cart before the horse and hair splitting, the statement added. Time now to move to our Lagos Network Center, where Michael is standing by. Hello, Michael. How is Lagos?
Fine, Kudu, and welcome to Lagos. Access Bank is leading other financial institutions in West Africa to adopt the global banking principles. This is with a view to ensuring that clients key into the environmental projects that will alleviate societal problems. Amaka Ho witnessed the Access Bank 2018 Sustainability Week marked in Lagos and now reports.
Access Bank is realizing its dream of being one of the world's most respected African banks through various sustainable corporate social responsibility projects in the last 10 years.
It's basically 10 years of really giving back, sustainable banking, and giving back to the societies in which we operate and serve.
These projects range from providing school materials for indigent children, renovation, healthcare facilities, and environmentally friendly projects in various urban and remote areas. With over 25 CSR groups embarking on projects in different parts of the country, over 3,200 employees of the bank volunteer their time and resources towards creating lasting legacies to transform the society.
What the bank also does to also encourage them is we give back to them 25% of what it is that they have spent. We've also integrated it into the bank's performance management system.
Head Sustainability Access Bank, Omobolanle Victor Laniyon, says the bank remains the first to introduce the Nigerian concept of sustainability banking principles imbibed by other banks in Nigeria.
Ensuring that we're able to include perspectives from the peculiarities of the African operating environment into the development of those principles.
Access Bank dedicates 1% of their profits before tax to corporate social responsibility.
The sustainability drive of Access Bank is targeted towards profit, people, and the planet Earth. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Thank you, Amaka. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, is set to collaborate with investment promotion bodies such as the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry in order to boost the nation's economy. The Group Managing Director of NNPC, Dr. Maiken Tibaru, disclosed this at the corporation's special day at the ongoing 2018 Lagos International Trade Fair. Annie Daniels has details.
Managing Director, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, who was represented by the Chief Operating Officer downstream, Henry Ikemobi, revealed the corporation's drive to continue the extension of its value chain by increasing its competitiveness in the global marketplace.
We have recently completed the rehabilitation and restoration of the vandalized 36-inch and 42-inch Kwai Boat Terminal and 48-inch Focados Oil Terminal export pipelines, leading to resumption of production operations in the upstream.
Ikem Obi added that, among other achievements of the NNPC, is the contract award for the construction of the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano Line gas infrastructure project.
The tank expansion at Atlas Cove Depot, the reopening of our depot facilities at Mosimi, Ibadan, Enugu, Aba, and Kano, resuming transfer operations on our Aba-Port Harcourt pipeline, and expanding several of our jetties around the country.
The president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry applauded NNPC's consistent participation in the fair He requested for the quick passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill in order to expedite action on the corporation's master plan.
PIDB will create a conducive regulatory environment that will open up the sector to both local and foreign investors.
NNPC also assured Nigerians of adequate supply of petroleum products before, during, and after the festive season. Nigerians are therefore advised against panic buying. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA Network News. More reports ahead after this timeout. Please stay with us.
The National Assembly management regrets to announce a postponement of the seminar on the law and political party switching in Nigeria, earlier scheduled for Tuesday, 13th November 2018. The postponement is due to other previously scheduled events on the same date. A new date will be communicated. We regret any inconvenience this postponement might cause our speaker and all invited guests. Announcer Sani Omolori, clerk to the National Assembly.
Activate your life, be who you want to be. Now, 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 now. Come on, get active. Oh, yeah. Yes, you can do it if you try.
Start an active life with the power of vegetables and fruits. Chivita Active. Be active. Do more.
Nigeria we hail. Those who divide our people are getting better at their game. Yet, now we did do ourselves pass. Lecturer the oppressed student them. Bus driver, they show passenger where. Local government people are terrifying local government people. Campaign people will come and go. Grammar people will remain. So now, many people have become Uncle Thomases, unwilling to desire or work for a better nation. We must continue to push and believe, and small, our prayers will be answered. This education you go get out. These children, then go grow and prosper. And this business, it not go spoil for your hand, because Union Bank understands what it means to push through challenges, and together we go clear every doubt when they are our way. Don't be an Uncle Thomas. Union Bank, your simpler, smarter bank.
Darling, what's the matter? It's your birthday. Guests are already waiting at the pool.
It's headache, cold, pains all over my body.
Cold Time Anti-Cold Tablet, powerful ingredients specially prepared to bring you fast relief from headache, body ache, cough, flu, cold, and fever. Baby, how are you feeling now?
Wow, I feel great thanks to Cold Time Tablet.
Cold Time Tablet, also available with syrup for children. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your doctor. Cold Time Anti-Cold Tablet, a quality product from Embassy Pharmaceutical and Chemicals Limited. Cold Time Anti-Cold Tablet, your visa to health.
From our wonderful family, meet our active triplets. Mixology, for example, mixes well with drinks. Then enjoy every quick meal with Slurp It Off. And everywhere you go, there is Go-Gurt. Packed with healthy nutrition, nourishing vitamins, power of protein, strength of calcium, revitalizing energy. Hollandia yogurt is bursting with goodness inside and out. Hollandia yogurt, it's all good.
Welcome back to our Abuja studios of NTA Network News. The federal government reiterates determination to the implementation of the tomato sector policy, plus government of Nigeria, Japan, and UNIDO launch youth entrepreneurship program in the Northeast. Details with Chukwunonso Nwabwezi on our business news segment.
Hello and a warm welcome to Business News. The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to the full implementation of the tomato sector policy in order to boost the economy. Minister of State, Industry, Trade and Investment, Aisha Abubakar, gave the assurance in Abuja at an interactive meeting with critical stakeholders in the nation's tomato value chain to review the status of the implementation of the policy.
We want to know what it is in terms of production, in terms of processing, in terms of the kind of tomatoes that is going to be planted. So for us to expect when the harvest time comes, for us to be able to say that we are on the right track.
Issues of the inability of the locally produced tomato paste to compete with different foreign brands allegedly smuggled into the nation's market, high interest rates, access to water, inadequate power supply, amongst others, were some of the challenges being faced by the investors. In the meantime, the federal government, Government of Japan, and United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, have launched a project to promote youth entrepreneurship in the Northeast. The $800,000 project is aimed at improving senior secondary school education by providing students with technical trade knowledge on how to start and manage their own micro and small-scale businesses.
This project especially is very significant for the future self-sustainable development of this country.
We follow up, we monitor, and it's the sustenance that would encourage them also more to give support.
The program, which targets all secondary schools in Nigeria, has Adamawa, Bauchi, and Gombe states in its pilot phase. Meanwhile, the equities market was bullish this Thursday, appreciating by 0.37% to close at 32,228.50 basis points, with more than 200 million shares exchanging hands in 2,639 deals, valued at more than 2 billion naira. Market capitalization stood at 11.7 trillion naira at the close of today's trading. And that's it on Business News. I am Chukunonso Mwabweze.
Ceramic researchers are in Plateau State for a conference. Let's get details of this conference and other reports from Mariam in Jos.
The Plateau State government has inaugurated a committee on the resuscitation of the Jos Inland Container Port in Haipang, Barakin-Ladi local government area. Plateau State Governor said the committee is to work towards the completion of the project. Paul Dama reports.
The inland container port located in Haipang is one project that has suffered a lot of setbacks since its establishment. The state government, in recognition of its enormous economic benefits, has taken steps to resuscitate the project, and one of it is the inauguration of this committee. The acting secretary to the government of the state, Mr. Richard Tokma, said the state can no longer miss this opportunity given the enormous resources and energy that have been channeled by government and the concessionaire towards actualizing the project.
Permit me at this stage to appeal to our businessmen and women from within and outside the state to take advantage of this unique opportunity by patronizing the inland container depot when it is finally completed.
Chairman of the committee, Mr. Agwamnyam Isha, expressed appreciation on behalf of other members while outlining the numerous benefits of the inland container dry port, especially in the export of agricultural produce, which the state is known for.
Of the committee of the inland dry port, which will be a landmark achievement in the history of our state.
The committee's terms of reference include ensuring effective sensitization of the general and immediate public on the importance and benefits of the project, bringing up a blueprint on how to rekindle the project, and coming up with details of areas of collaboration between the state government and the concessionaire in the area of equity participation. In Jos, Paul Dama, NTA News.
As Nigeria explores alternative sources of revenue generation, the Ceramic Researchers Association of Nigeria says the country can count on them as partners in progress. President of the association, Professor Grace Oji-Ogu, gave this indication at the 15th conference and exhibition of the body in Jos with theme Ceramic, a catalyst for technological development. Caleb Guchin has more.
Ceramics occupy a very important place in the lives of people, even as man, immemorial, has been in the business of producing different items from clay. As important as this industry is, Professor Oji-Ogu says conscious efforts must be made to improve the quality of ceramics, which her association is committed to.
Our students are trained to be able to establish their own studios and practice. And over time, some of them have been able to employ others.
Vice Chancellor, University of Jos, says the impact of the association is visible at the University of Jos for everyone to see, and the institution will give every support in this regard.
It's interesting that this is the only unit that when they exhibit something in the
Daspan, who gave the keynote address, noted that ceramics has come a long way, hence the need for academic institutions to develop their curriculum in such a way that the art of ceramics is better applied. Participants are drawn from universities across the country. In Jos, Caleb Gochin, NTN News.
That's a wrap from here. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mariam. Tamara Ebiwe has the sport update.
Reactions continue to trail the list of 21 Super Falcons released midweek by head coach Thomas Denaby ahead of the 11th edition of Africa Women's Cup of Nations in Ghana, with enthusiasts saying the squad has the potentials of winning the coveted title a record night time.
He knows that he cannot just go into such a tournament without experience. So he had to go back to those old players because experience needs to play in everything. It's not skill all the time.
We shouldn't be complacent, but by and large, I think the tournament is for us to win or lose.
The Edo State government has pledged to support its football outfit, Bendel Insurance Football Club, as they bid to excel in the Nigeria Professional Football League in the 2018-2019 season. Governor Godwin Obaseki made the pledge while hosting the team, which recently gained promotion to the top tier after 11 years.
To show our gratitude to you, it's nothing. I'm giving you the club, all of you, the sum of 25 million naira.
President of the Nigeria Shooting Federation, Brigadier General Lonsdale Adeoye, is appealing for the sport to be part of events in the 19th National Sports Festival built for Abuja in December, as it will enhance its integration across the country, particularly at the grassroots.
Even the parents of these children say they are ready to contribute. And some states have the money to do, but we have some sponsors who have come over that they will pay if we are being permitted to take part.
42 events will feature in the multi-sports fiesta. With sports updates, Tamara Ebiwe, NTA News.
The remains of the 11th Emir of Nasarawa, Hassan Ahmad II, have been laid to rest as hundreds of sympathizers pray for the repose of his soul. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has condoled the family, Nasarawa State Emir Council, the government and people of Nasarawa State on the death of the late Emir of Nasarawa, Alhaji Hassan Ahmad Abubakar II. In a statement by Femi Adesina, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, President Buhari notes that the best way for friends and subjects of the late monarch to sustain his legacy is to uphold the things that create divisions and promote tolerance, love, and understanding as a path to national reconciliation and development. The President believes that the late Emir of Nasarawa will be long remembered and prays Almighty Allah to receive the soul and grant his people of Nasarawa Emirate a worthy successor. And that concludes the Network News tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Muhammad Kuda Abubakar. Good night.
You have an existing business or a great business idea? Then, Africa's Young Entrepreneurs Empowerment Nigeria is a program for you, where thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs will be empowered with business funding, mentorship, specialized skills training, and equipment. To register for the IEN program, visit www.ayeen.ng. Fill in your personal details and business details. Check your mail regularly for your screening date and location. Follow us on all social media platforms for updates. For more information, visit www.ayeonline.org or call 0700 044 4444. IEN 2018, showcasing and empowering Nigerian entrepreneurs.
Taxation, that depressing but constant reality on the minds of everyone.
On a particular spot might turn out to be a breeding ground for mosquitoes. Mayor Ogi, for Dateline 360.
It is obvious that's a negative relationship between taxes and business.
The government in bringing development to the grassroots. For Dateline 360, I'm Emmanuel Lene.
To generate electricity through nuclear energy, precautionary measures has to be taken. I am Muhammad Nasir reporting for Dateline 360.
Laws and regulations guiding revenue generation in Nigeria.
If the rent gets down to the landlords and business operators, it will eventually make them increase their service charge.
It's good to have you join us this week. I'm Hawa Sali.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria, unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Oga, open your fuel tank.
Hold on, please. Let me calm down.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Hope you've rubbed off your meter.
Oh, Oga, we no longer tamper with our fuel dispense meter because it is cheating and corruption. I will always sell fuel to all customers at the correct amount because change begins with me.
Nice one.
Yes, sir. How much, Oga?
Fill up.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Brought us as usual.
As usual. You have no problem.
For the three
You are welcome, sir.
as usual, yeah?
You take that one. You take that one. You don't understand? We want Nigerian homegrown rice. Finish. You don't have. You don't have.
Join the rice revolution today.
No other rice that tastes like Nigerian rice. Are you sorry? That's the Nigerian rice we are talking about. Chocolate made in Nigerian rice. Healthy food. I'm going to bring Mrs. Mobu to come to chocolate rice of made in Nigeria here. And see how it are made.
Correct.
And how they are cook it.
Correct.
Homegrown rice are good for your health. It will boost our economy and give employment to our people.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
We used to go to the river to bathe, to fetch water to bathe, and at the same time to cook. We still go into the bush to go and toilet. We see snakes and soldier ants. During the dry season, you know, we used to see all these dead bodies that they throwed and the rest floating here and there. But we still make use of the water because we have no choice.
This is Bere Makbo area of Ibadan in Oyo State. The streets are lined with traders. It's a densely populated area. So we're going to walk into this area, talk to some of the market women about their water, sanitation, and hygiene issues, whatever issues that they face in this area.
Kódà táwọn ìbá wa rajà lọ́jà tó bá fẹ́ tọ́lẹ́tì àmọ́ ní kí wọ́n lọ kọ́nàkọ́nà ni kára pure water lọ ṣùgbọ́n tí ìyẹn bá lè wà níbí ṣẹ̀mọ̀ kó ọpọ́n gómìnà náà ọpọ́n lé àní tọ́lẹ́tì àní nǹkan kan.
So the truth is, I need to use the bathroom. And they're telling me I can go to the mosque to use the bathroom. I've already fetched my water. This water was bought by the owner of the store. So I want to be able to at least clean up once that's done. Wasilat is taking me. Imagine I just took a pee very close to this place and it's going underground, clearly. It's going to end up in this very well. Just imagine. And they're going to wash, drink, possibly cook with this water here. It's good to have, but is it clean? So I'm going off to a closer school to find out what the water, health, and sanitation, especially hygiene issues are for them. I can't imagine what a young girl would be doing if she was on her period and there's no water in the school. Maybe she won't even go to school. You never know.
When we want toilet in our school, we go to bush. It's not good to not have toilet in our school, but if we have toilet in our school, manage it then, we'll not be using it anyhow.
Oh, thank you so much. Look at this beautiful girl. She's going back home after a few hours of class because she has menstrual pain and she's in her period. So she says tomorrow she's not coming to school. She's not coming to Abi?
Yes.
She's not coming to school tomorrow because it's too difficult for her. But if she had an exam, she will make sure she comes here. So I can imagine what difference having water and a toilet that flows will do to your life.
Muna da matsala wanda ya shafi ruwan sha, abun da ya shafi ilimi ba mu da shi. Abun da ya shafi lafiya ba mu da shi.
Gaskiya ruwa ba shi da daɗi, ruwa ba shi da kyau. Yanda kasan manja kake yana da ƙasa-ƙasa ka kuma kwadi suna mutuwa a ciki yana kuma ɗan wari-wari haka muke sha.
By being the Commissioner of Ministry of Water Resources, my greatest responsibility is to oversee, delivery of safe, sound, and portable water to Bayelsans. We have about 42 water stations established across the length and breadth of the 8 local governments that makes up Bayelsa. we made almost a decree that open defecation should stop by 2020. We've gone around the several villages in the, that are in the local government pressing the stoppage of open defecation because it pollutes our water and our river sources. You might be in the ocean, or into the Atlantic Ocean. You might be in the hinterland. Anywhere you are, we'll assess you and deliver safe and potable drinking water to Bayelsa. This is our dream, and this is our greatest aspiration.
Despite the efforts made by the government and development partners, a lot still needs to be done in this area. Government needs to prioritize the wash sector by replicating best practices. Multiple sectors need to come together. That is the health sector, education sector, environment sector needs to work together, plan together in ensuring that these needs are met. The private sector also needs to realize that there is business, there is a need to be met, and there is business in WASH, particularly in the area of sanitation. Government needs to ensure that enough funding is committed and utilized in providing WASH services. Communities should take ownership of WASH services provided, and government should also put in place systems to support communities manage and sustain WASH services over time.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mr. President. Permit me also to present some statistics to buttress some of the things that, some of the findings in that story. Can we have the slides, please? Okay. The statistics is based on national outcome routine mapping carried out, which was the report was compiled in September 2018.
There you saw the pictures of a reality in the water, sanitation and hygiene sector in Nigeria. It's a situation where 50 million people in Nigeria are currently without access to potable water, while 100 million Nigerians lack access to basic sanitation. The President Muhammadu Buhari administration come aboard to realize this critical challenge, and they realize it's a crisis indeed. And so here we are to witness the launch of water, sanitation and hygiene WASH action plan that promises to revitalize this sector for better. This is the latest in the various strategic steps being taken since the government of President Buhari came aboard to address the critical challenges in water, sanitation and hygiene sector. That's after coming to terms with the fact that the sector is indeed in crisis. There have been a series of retreats since the minister came aboard, and the latest was in April, where the participants recommended that an action plan
under the MDGs,
an emergency
we could beat our chest a little bit. Northwest had 58, Northeast 59%, North Central 62%, Southwest 81%, and South 73%, and Southeast 75.5%. But you see that under the SDGs target, because adjustments had to be made, you can see the figures are fairly dismal. So under the SDGs, whereas we were reporting basic water supply access at 67.9%, where you apply the SDG in indices, it's now dropped to 3.7%. The situation regarding sanitation is even worse. Under the MDGs, 112 million Nigerians, if we go by the MDG indicators, 112 million Nigerians are yet to meet the the sanitation target. And this increases to 155 million if we go by the definition of the SDGs. Of course, the MDG's definition was they either defecate in the open, use unimproved sanitation facilities, or have to share toilets with other households. But the SDG targets require they have to have access to improved sanitation facilities which are functional, private, accessible, and with fecal sludge safely disposed and treated. And then again, Your Excellency, the percentages are shown under, by region, by geopolitical zone. Under the MDGs, Northwest had 50.4% access, 42.4% in the Northeast, 28.6% in North Central, 34.5% in Southwest, 38.4% in South-South, and 54.3% in Southeast. I'll be using the MDG indicators, but when we apply the SDG indicators, which is the current situation, we have all the indices drop. Northeast 20%, Northwest 20.5%, North Central 14.4%, Southwest 17.4%, Southeast 26.3%, and South-South 18%. So national access to basic sanitation on under MDG is 41.5%, and under the SDGs target, that the overall has dropped to 19.2%. Then the percentage of population practicing open defecation across the geopolitical zones is indicated. This is a very serious problem. 1 in 4 Nigerians defecate in the open, while 1 in 2 persons in the North Central region defecate in the open. And out of 47 million Nigerians that practice open defecation, 16 million live in the North Central zone, as can be seen from the graphs. Situation of wash in schools. Only 15.7% of schools have basic water supply and sanitation services in the country. And only 5.5% of schools have basic gender-sensitive water supply, sanitation, and hygiene services in line with SDG requirements. Situation of water, sanitation, and hygiene in health facilities. Just 5.2% of health facilities have access to basic gender-sensitive and disability-friendly wash services. Again, this is in line with SDG requirements. Situation in public places, and that's markets and motor parks. Only 12.4% of markets, motor parks have basic water supply and sanitation services across the country. That's the average. So the implication of poor wash access on national development. First, economic loss. Nigeria loses about 1.3% or 455 billion naira of our GDP annually to poor access to sanitation. The health impact indicates that 102,000 under 5 child deaths occur each year due to diarrhea, about 90% which is directly attributed to unsafe water and sanitation. Nigeria is the second country after India with the most child deaths due to diarrhea. Impact on child development. 1 in 4 children under 5 exhibit severe stunting, while 1 in 10 are wasted due to frequent episodes of diarrhea and other wash-related illnesses. Poor education outcome. Reduced school enrollment and attendance due to time loss in search of water, frequent episode of wash-related illnesses, and poor access to menstrual hygiene management facilities in schools. And then, of course, there's loss of dignity and security. Open defecation results to loss of dignity, increased risks of insecurity and violence against women and children. Your Excellency, Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the presented statistics depict a sector that is heavily challenged. This has prodded our ministry to take the following steps. 1, development of the Wash Poverty Diagnostic Report with the assistance of the World Bank. Deliberation on the findings in the report at the 24th meeting of the National Council on Water Resources held in Akure in August 2017. Hosting of a national retreat on revitalization of the wash sector with the participation of stakeholders from federal and state levels during which the participants called for a state of emergency to be declared for the wash sector. Also developed the draft action plan by a task team with representatives from the federal and state governments under the guidance and support of the World Bank. And we presented the draft action plan to the National Economic Council earlier in January this year. And we finalized the action plan at the second stakeholders retreat held in March, following which the action plan was presented to the Federal Executive Council for approval in April 2018. I'm happy to announce to this gathering that the Federal Executive Council in April this year approved the National Action Plan for the revitalization of the wash sector, including the declaration of a state of emergency for the sector. It is my hope that the formal declaration of the state of emergency by Mr. President today will stimulate high political commitment to wash issues at both federal and state levels. The National Wash Action Plan has the primary objective of ensuring that everyone living in Nigeria has access to sustainable and safely managed wash services by 2030 in compliance with the Sustainable Development Goals for water, that's goal 6.1, and sanitation, which is goal 6.2. The action plan comprises 5 components: governance, sustainability, sanitation, funding and financing, as well as monitoring and evaluation, and also has 11 elements that include clarification of roles of all stakeholders in wash service provision, improving the technical capacity of water agencies, establishment of a national wash fund, institutionalizing sanitation as a necessary counterpart to water supply, design of a strategy for improving spending efficiency, strategies for improving the effective targeting of scarce public resources, actions to improve the functioning and creditworthiness of networked services, strategies for improving rural water supply provision, measures to regulate the informal sector in water supply and sanitation, interventions to promote household-level capital expenditures for wash, mainstreaming of data collection, and design of communication strategy. The action plan presents a new federal-state partnership for the wash sector development, one in which the states maintain their full sector development prerogatives while benefiting from an empowering federal arrangement for effective guidance, support, and incentivizing of their efforts. The faithful implementation of the National Wash Action Plan will reinforce the vision of the Partnership for Expanded Water Supply, Sanitation, and Hygiene Initiative, we call PWASH, that was launched in November 2016 by His Excellency the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. The PWASH program, which is designed to enhance the attainment of universal access to safe drinking water and adequate sanitation, especially in our rural areas, is already endorsed by 22 state governments. The program implementation is about to commence in Ogun and Kano states as part of the preparatory phase. Your Excellency, Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to sincerely thank Mr. President for his interest and guidance to the water sector, starting with the approval of the Ministry's 15-year roadmap in June 2016, under which a lot has been achieved in the sector, including the development of this National Wash Action Plan. I would also like to thank our development partners, especially the World Bank that assisted us in preparing the Wash Poverty Diagnostic Report and also supported us throughout the development of the National Action Plan. I appreciate the African Development Bank, French Development Agency, the European Union, UNICEF, DFID, USAID, JICA, WSP, WSSCC, and WaterAid for their continued support to the development of the water and sanitation sector. It is our hope that after the launch of this WASH Action Plan today, there will be a purposeful collaboration in all our activities towards achieving access to potable water, sanitation, and hygiene for all Nigerians, and a renewed commitment to achieve an open defecation-free nation by 2025. If this is not done, our country stands the chance of taking the center stage among open defecation countries when India would have exited by next year. There is no pretense that there are challenges ahead, but it is our belief that the solutions are with us. I therefore seize this opportunity to enjoin all state governments and indeed all key stakeholders to join hands with us in the implementation of the National Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Action Plan. Once again, Your Excellency, I thank you for gracing this occasion, and I thank our distinguished guests for your attention. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
To the welcome address by the Minister of Water Resources, Engineer Suleiman Adamu. Various statistics coming out there about the situation in water, sanitation and hygiene sector, among which is the sorry case of about 50 million people in Nigeria not having access to potable water, while 100,000 Nigerians lack access to basic sanitation. It's an ironic situation, actually, while more people have been having more access to water in the rural and urban areas, but that has been as a result of
Please sit down. Thank you. The Deputy Governors of Kano, Ondo, and Ogun States, Honorable Minister of Water Resources, and the other ministers present here, senior government officials, development partners, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to address you all at this occasion of the launching of the National Action Plan for revitalizing the water supply, sanitation, and hygiene sector of our country. It is gratifying to note the positive efforts being made in the water sector towards improving the living standards of our people, both in the rural and urban areas. Access to adequate water supply, sanitation, and hygiene are part of the indices of good health of our people. This administration places priority on infrastructure development, including those of water supply, sanitation, and hygiene services, towards ensuring a better life for our people. This is being demonstrated through the approval and faithful implementation of the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, which is our blueprint for infrastructure and economic development. From the inception of this administration, we have demonstrated serious commitment to the development of water sector by preserving the Ministry of Water Resources and subsequently approving the 15-year roadmap developed for the sector. The transformation being witnessed in the sector since then is highly commendable. I have no doubt that the ongoing initiatives, including the implementation of the Partnership for Expanded Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene in the ministry, will take the water sector to improve performance and supply, thereby meeting the national aspirations as well as sustainable development goals. Our country is experiencing increasing rate of urbanization, but recent indices for water supply and sanitation access require that governments at all levels redouble efforts and work towards meeting the nation's water supply and sanitation needs. Consider these disturbing statistics. A, access to piped water services, which was 32% in 1990, that has declined to 7% in 2015. B, access to improved sanitation has also decreased from 38% in 1990 to 29% in 2015. C, our country now ranks number 2 in the global rating on open defecation, as about 25% of our population are practicing open defecation. D, water supply, sanitation and hygiene services at the rural areas are unsustainable, as 46% of all water schemes are non-functional. And E, the share of our spending on wash sector has been declining from 0.70% of the GDP in 1990 to about 0.27% in 2015, which is far below the 2.70% at the West African regional level. I have been briefed that the National Action Plan for Revitalization of the Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene sector that I will launch shortly has been prepared in collaboration with all the 36 state governments, FCT, and development partners through retreats and workshops to provide the framework towards addressing the sector challenges. Let me reiterate that provision of potable water supply, adequate sanitation and hygiene are primarily the responsibilities of state and local governments. However, these are not being given the required attention, judging from the high prevalence of waterborne diseases that are being reported in different parts of the country. We cannot and will not continue to allow these preventable occurrences to decimate our population. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I am aware that our country did not meet the Millennium Development Goals target for water supply and sanitation that ended in 2015. The Sustainable Development Goals targets 6.1 and 6.2 for water supply, sanitation, and hygiene are even more demanding, as they require water supply, sanitation, and hygiene services to be provided in adequate quantity and quality on premises at affordable prices. This cannot be achieved if we continue with a business as usual approach. It is on this premise that I fully endorse the decision taken at the meeting of the Federal Executive Council in April this year to declare a state of emergency on our water supply, sanitation, and hygiene sector. I call on all state governments to complement this effort by according the sector similar recognition to enable us to work together to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals targets for water supply, sanitation, and hygiene by 2030. Henceforth, federal government support to state governments will be based on their commitment to implement the national water supply, sanitation, and action plan in their respective states, and to end open defecation by 2025. On this note, I wish to express my profound gratitude to all our development partners and countries that have been supporting our water sector, and to call for their continuous support that will enable us to achieve our national aspirations. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor and privilege to launch the National Action Plan for Revitalization of Water Supply, Sanitation sector of our country. It is also my singular honor to formally declare a state of emergency on Nigeria's water supply, sanitation, and hygiene sector. I thank you all. I thank you all for your attention, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Very official.
Thank you very much.
A state of emergency has been declared in water, sanitation, and hygiene sector by the President Muhammadu Buhari. The action plan will set out a 13-year revitalization strategy for wash sector, including 18-month emergency phase and 5 years recovery plan.
Nigeria will make some few comments, and we will now move to the unveiling of the launch book. Please, a round of applause for her, please.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, fellow development partners, all protocols observed. Please let me say on behalf of the Development Partners Group how delighted we are with this very timely recognition of the critical status of water and sanitation in Nigeria. It's truly a historic moment to witness such a commitment coming from the highest levels, Your Excellency, a commitment that will genuinely make a difference in the lives of all Nigerians. It's not just historic for Nigeria, however, it's historic for the world, because with the commitment of Nigeria, that it is possible for the world to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. So I congratulate you on behalf of the Development Partners Group, Mr. President, for playing such a critical role in moving us towards achieving this milestone. As we've heard, there are millions of children who are affected every single day by the situation of water, sanitation, and hygiene across Nigeria. Indeed, tens of thousands are dying under the age of 5 from diarrhea, which is entirely preventable. Indeed, every family within a 6-week period is afflicted by diarrhea. And I suspect all of us can relate that this is not a pleasant experience that anyone would wish any child or family to undergo. These are immense challenges, but they don't stop there. You know, they have a knock-on effect, as we've seen in the very persuasive video, in terms of stunting of children, education, the health situation as well. But all of this can change. Your Excellency, a commitment from your administration to invest in water and sanitation today can make all the difference. And while capital investments to ensure access by the unserved and the underserved are very important, it's sound sector institutions that are needed to sustain the existing and the new WASH-related efforts. It's investing in systems for sustainable performance of services that is critical, not only ensuring service quality, but also conserving capital investments. The Federal Ministry of Water Resources, along with the Ministries of Environment, Health, Education, and all their state development partners, all of whom need to continue to work together to ensure that all Nigerians have access to clean water and sanitation. Yes, the challenge is immense. However, while the government will need to play its role in building that new infrastructure and devising adequate management systems to ensure sustainability, all Nigerians will need to play their part. For example, through constructing latrines and contributing financially through water tariff systems. We are heartily encouraged to see a renewed federal-state partnership for policymaking, financing, and oversight, by which the federal government can better guide, support, and incentivize sector development by states, as is proposed by the Nigeria Action Plan. And this is a collective responsibility. So together, we can ensure that the right to clean water and sanitation services is high on the political agenda and a priority for all Nigerians and partners. And together, we can make sure that every woman, man, and child in Nigeria has access to the essential services they need to live long and healthy lives. I thank you.
Thank you very much. And on that note, would want to invite His Excellency, President Muhammadu Buhari, and the delegation to the unveiling of the action plan. I will now hand over that to the Honorable Minister of Water Resources, who is in charge, the host minister, to do that part of the action. Thank you very much. We would move straight to the unveiling table, where we have the action plan document. Please, let's make way for the development partners and key officials. Hello.
Let him be seated. After the we have a
The unveiling of the document of the National Action Plan for the revitalization of water, sanitation, and hygiene sector, as unveiled by the President himself, President Muhammadu Buhari. This is basically to demonstrate the commitment of his administration towards addressing the challenges the water, sanitation, and hygiene sector is facing at the moment. This action plan seeks to provide concrete actions to be taken by the federal and state governments under 5 components comprising governance, sustainability, funding, financing, monitoring, and evaluation. And that has been the official launch of the National Action Plan for Water, Sanitation and Hygiene sector by the President. This seeks to transform, to rewrite the story in the water, sanitation and hygiene sector. There are a lot of targets to be met, including the Sustainable Development Goals. That's Goal 6 of the SDG, which is access to water and sanitation for all. On this note, we thank you so much for being part of this telecast from the Conference Center of the State House, Abuja. On behalf of the OB crew, we thank you so much for being part of it. And we now return to our scheduled programs on the network service of the NTA.
From the largest television network in Africa, the NTA, we bring to you Weekend File, where we seek the views of experts, government functionaries, movers of the economy, and the ordinary Nigerian on developmental challenges confronting the nation in an era of diversification, the process that is meant to reinvigorate all aspects of our national life in education, science, technology, and innovation, agriculture, health, and other aspects of societal development. The Weekend File crew has the onerous task of articulating all the issues, ensuring that all perspectives are brought to the table. On the show, all things matter and opinions of every class count. Weekend File shows every Saturday at 9 p.m. on the NTA network service. It is your weekend companion and a destination for news, views, and analysis. It is unmissable.
Set me.
Oh, come on, G.
I beg, allow me make my food just digest.
Madam, I don't need that money. No one that money for this place. No that government don't lock my restaurant. All that way they do just stop it. Before now they will just say they come my shop. Don't tell me to stop. Don't tell me that. Wait. I beg your pardon. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Just stop that way you want to. Stop it.
Who is begging you? I said I beg your pardon.
Just stop it.
Understanding the universal language and timeless qualities that every great art piece exudes is a quest for many. Art is a means of communication, a symbol of humanity, depicting aesthetics in various forms. Art connotes strength and visibility as a way of preserving heritage, promoting culture, and painting pictures of our daily realities. This young artist examines tales of the eyes, mind, and body through his works.
My work is more of the real life and of ordinary Nigerians, the women, the children. It's not a painful art, it's just their joys, their moments of doubt, their moments of sorrows too. I draw with raw charcoal on cloth. I just burn them and just make the charcoal.
A combination of brevity with comprehensive suggestiveness that appeals to one's sensibility. One cannot ignore the depth each art piece possesses. But how well do people appreciate and understand these artworks?
You can see they are about to cross the road. So I saw the painting that you look before you leap. The child at the mother's back is relaxed. That means she trusted the mother so much that she is capable of protecting her from any danger.
When I look at that painting or this one, it tells me something, and I'm able to understand the strength of a woman. And looking at this painting, I could easily relate with the average Nsukka woman. I'm from Nsukka. That's the strength of the Nsukka woman.
I like the media, charcoal work. I've used it before. And I like the way he's using it in his pictures to create definition, to show light and shadow. Yeah. So particularly, I like this artwork because of the theme.